By the time I walked out of that coffee shop, my sister was crying, my mother was calling me heartless, and half my family had decided I was the villain. What none of them could understand was that I had already saved my sister once. That rescue had cost me $40,000. 5 years later, she wanted another $60,000. This time, my answer changed everything. I'm Daniel, 31 years old. For most of my life, my older sister Emily was the center of my family's universe. If she made a mistake, people rushed to fix it. If she had a problem, everyone came running. And if there was a sacrifice to be made, somehow it always became my responsibility. Growing up, the favoritism wasn't obvious enough for anyone to admit, but it was impossible to ignore. Emily could do almost anything and still be treated like she was special. Meanwhile, I was expected to be mature, responsible, and understanding. My parents called me the easy child. At first, I thought it was a compliment. Later, I realized it just meant they expected less attention and more sacrifice from me. As adults, nothing really changed. Emily married her college boyfriend, Ryan. I started a small construction company and spent years working ridiculous hours trying to build something of my own. While I was saving money and planning for the future, Emily and Ryan were constantly buying things they couldn't afford. New furniture, new cars, expensive vacations, the kind of lifestyle that looked impressive online but was held together with debt. Then my grandmother passed away, losing her hurt more than I can describe. She was the one person in our family who never played favorites. She loved Emily and me equally. A few weeks after her funeral, we gathered at the lawyer's office for the reading of her will. Grandma left Emily several pieces of family jewelry and personal keepsakes. She left me $85,000. The reason was simple. A year before she died, she had surgery. I spent months helping her recover. I drove her to appointments, picked up prescriptions, helped maintain her house. I never expected anything in return. Apparently she never forgot. I was shocked. Emily was furious. She didn't say much in the lawyer's office, but the moment we left, the pressure started. First came the texts, then the phone calls, then the visits. According to my parents, Emily and Ryan were facing financial disaster. Ryan had secretly accumulated massive credit card debt. Mortgage payments were overdue. Foreclosure was becoming a real possibility. Their marriage was falling apart. One evening, my parents and Emily showed up at my apartment. Emily sat on my couch crying. Mom looked concerned. Dad looked irritated. After listening to their situation, I said the only thing that made sense. "I'm sorry, but Grandma left that money to me." The room immediately became tense. Dad crossed his arms. Mom sighed heavily. Emily looked at me like I had betrayed her. "You're really going to let us lose our house?" she asked. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Are you really asking me to give away my inheritance?" Dad answered before she could. "Family helps family." That sentence would become very familiar. Funny how nobody ever says it when they're helping you. For weeks they continued pushing. Every phone call became a guilt trip. Every family dinner became an intervention. Every conversation ended with someone calling me selfish. Eventually, I gave in. Partly because I loved my family, partly because I was exhausted. I agreed to loan Emily $40,000, half of my inheritance. We signed paperwork. Ryan promised monthly payments. My parents praised me for doing the right thing. For a few months, everything seemed fine. Then the payments slowed down, then they stopped completely. Every excuse sounded different, but they all meant the same thing. "We aren't paying you back." Ryan lost his job. Unexpected expenses came up. The car needed repairs. Medical bills appeared. There was always another reason. Eventually, Emily stopped acknowledging the debt entirely. Whenever I brought it up, she became defensive. One day she looked me straight in the eye and said, "Do you really care more about money than family?" That was the moment I knew I would never see that money again. I considered taking legal action, but I also knew exactly how that would end. The entire family would treat me like a monster, so I let it go, not because they deserved forgiveness, because I deserved peace. Over the next 5 years, I focused on myself. I expanded my business, hired employees, bought a house, created financial stability. Life slowly improved. Meanwhile, Emily continued living exactly the same way. There was always another financial emergency, another expensive purchase, another poor decision. And every time things went wrong, somebody rescued her, usually my parents. Then came the phone call, 5 years after I lost my inheritance. Mom called me sobbing. Emily and Ryan were getting divorced. Apparently, Ryan had hidden even more debt. This time, the situation was catastrophic. The house was being sold. Lawyers were involved. Financial accounts were frozen. Emily needed help. I already knew what was coming, then Mom said it. She needs your support right now? I asked the obvious question. How much? There was a pause, then she said, about 60,000. I actually laughed, not because it was funny, because it was absurd, after losing $40,000. After years of excuses, after years of disrespect, they wanted another $60,000. My answer came instantly. No. Mom's tone changed immediately. This is your sister, I replied calmly. She was my sister when she stopped paying me back too. Silence. Then came the familiar accusations, selfish, heartless, greedy. I listened to all of it. Then I finally said what I'd spent years thinking. The most expensive mistake I ever made was confusing guilt with responsibility. Mom hung up. The fallout was immediate. Relatives called, family members texted. Apparently everyone had strong opinions about my money. Strangely, none of them volunteered their own. Then Emily contacted me. She wanted to meet. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a coffee shop. She looked exhausted. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Then she started talking. And somehow the entire disaster became my fault. If I had been more supportive, if I had helped more, if I had understood her struggles, maybe none of this would have happened. I stared at her in disbelief. Then I asked one simple question. Did you ever intend to pay back the $40,000? She froze, no answer, not even an excuse, just silence. And that silence told me everything. I stood up, pulled $40 from my wallet, placed it on the table. She looked confused. I smiled. $1 for every 1,000 you still owe me. Then I pushed the money toward her. Now you only owe me $39,960. And I walked away. Today my business is thriving. I employ dozens of people. I own multiple properties. Most importantly, my life is peaceful. Emily eventually had to rebuild her life without being rescued. And for the first time, she learned something no one had ever allowed her to learn before. Actions have consequences. I never recovered the money I lost. But I gained something much more valuable. The ability to say no to people who only remember your family when they need something from you.